Good evening, folks. It's Poms from Pallatrax. Hope everybody's well on this Sunday evening. It's been a glorious day down here in Devon, so I've been working on my lakes, trimming away, getting it all ready for winter. So this is my first live since you can see possibly the tanned complexion. Hopefully it's working because I've just come back from Thailand, visiting the awesome top cats and catching some awesome fish. Biggest fish was not that I'm into big fish, but they do hang on well when they're that big. Hi Simon, good evening. Yeah, I was very fortunate enough to have around a 300-pound arapaima, but the best fish was the alligator gar. But there we go. Ian, good evening. John, good evening. Welcome. Mr. Powell, good evening. Mr. Powell will be joining me in Thailand next year, so it's all exciting stuff. Hi John, hope you're doing well, my friend. Lee, good to see you in the house again. Trevor, the dogs are running riot. How you doing, Trevor? Hope all's well with you. So got a few people dropping in, so just there's loads going on here. Some stuff obviously on the main Pallatrax page, but a lot of it does overlap with the team, so there'll be all kinds of stuff. Good evening to you, Paul, in capital letters. Good evening, Andrew, hope you're well. Good evening, James. Thanks for all the Maya, is that Maya here? Good to see you, Maya. Speak to you guys tomorrow. So yeah, had a fantastic trip. Top Cats. We're very lucky to be involved with Top Cats and Lowy Jungle Fishing Park over in Thailand mainland. Top Cats on Koh Samui. Matthew Rice, you didn't win, you never will win. Rich Shaw, good evening. Thank you again for your assistance while we were globetrotting. Neil Watson, nice to see you here. So there's some competitions to go through. So the first thing I'll do now, what you've got to do is, if you want to enter this free draw, all you have to do is send yes to the Pallatrax Messenger page here on Facebook. And tonight's prize, so you're all in for it. All you've got to do is send yes, and it will get drawn at about 7:45. So this prize tonight is I've gone for the strawberry. It does smell nice, but that's just because I think it smells nice doesn't actually mean a lot, but it does really catch lots of fish. So it's the glug, the liquids and the booster. So all it's about to bling your baits, your pellets, adding some method mixes, whatever you want to get that really pungent aroma. And again, all our baits and all our flavours, they all are fishery regulated. And just to top it off, it would be rude not to give a packet of our awesome third hook design, or award-winning hook design, 2 awards now, in the shape of some grips, wide gapes. Nice PB on your, yes, thank you very much, Andrew. It was a bit of a tussle hanging on to these big fish, but it was very enjoyable. Had a great time away and got a bit singed as you do. But one of the highlights, to be fair, wasn't to do with the fishing, it was to do with we went snorkeling with and swam with these huge turtles, almost as big as me, and I'm a bit of a whale, so yeah, that was quite enjoying. So it was a bit of pleasure, lots of work, great to see Simon and have chats with him. And the fact is we're getting more and more involved with fisheries, like Jez in Lowy has gone grips and stones only. Top Cats are now going gamma, grips and stones when applicable, but outside of that they're using things like this, but I'll talk to you about that. It's quite an interesting conversation. So what we're going to do very shortly is just give you, this is a Team Pallatrax, so every 2 weeks we have a draw on Team Pallatrax for an exclusive competition, and it is, let me turn my screen around. There we go. So this is for team members. One of you 5 people are going to use that, win that. So we'll have that very shortly when Tinny brings it out to me. Andre, all the way from Slovakia. Hope you folks are well. Let me just come back to my bronzed looks. Mick Wright, how you doing? Jason Fern, I bet I got your grey matter thinking yesterday after talking about fishing on the drop. So this is just the team Facebook Pallatrax competition mainly. Well, we will contact you because you may well not be here, Christopher, but that's Christopher Wright. Can you see it that way? No, it's got to be that way. So, Christopher, congratulations. You win the main Team Pallatrax bi-monthly competition. We'll get all those goodies off to you as soon as, right, let me just move everything out of the way, then I can go into chat. So if you've got any questions, Michael, good evening to you, sir. Any questions at all, whether about top cats, whether about anything to do with anything fishing, with 26 years in the industry, certainly don't know it all, but I knew, tapping my head off, good man, good man. Yeah, please ask away. You know, like I said, I don't know it all, but hopefully if I do know it, I can help out, and it's all about help. So Neil, have I said? Oh yeah, no, Neil, I'm getting all confused here. So let me just move that away. Just to let you know, there is quite a few new products in the offing. Not because I just bring products out for the hell of bringing products out. I don't, but I bring them out when applicable. We are going through a field testing program at the moment. I've always wanted to get involved with a very high quality braid, and to be fair, the more I get involved with Gamma, which is the irradiated fishing lines, they have got some new products coming out themselves. They're not irradiated, but I just, Paddy Power, how you doing? Colin, how you doing? So I just whiz this round. Yes, it's a bit of a plug, but what can I do? I'm sourcing stuff for myself, and like, what? Do I be selfish and keep it for myself? The option's yours. I'm never here to sell anybody anything. It's gear that I design for myself or source for myself, and then obviously want to spread the love as well. And so you can always join what we're doing, or join the team Pallatrax, free of charge. Loads of competitions, discounts, etc. But look, so this is the stuff we are now just about to start field testing. I'm waiting for some more to come through from America. It's their Torque braid. It is fundamentally different. It's made in America, so it's not some cheap import, and it's of the highest quality. But I will come out with more information, but we won't launch it until we're 100% happy. But to be fair, I do believe, because it's all based on science and fact. So interesting coming forward. So just another rehash. This is the prize for tonight. Straw. All you've got to do is fire to the Pallatrax Facebook Messenger page, and you'll be in with a shout of that being drawn at the end of the competition. Hi Stephen, how you doing? New rod's going 6 footish when collapsed. Just looking at bags, lol. What's the total cost to top cats with you guys? The best person to contact John, if you're a Team Pallatrax member. Oh, I should turn this around and not be so rude. John is contact Simon Cruddas at Top Cats direct, because he, if you're a team member, you can get up to 15% discount, but he can tell you there's different seasons and different rates for different times. You know, we're just friends. They are a Pallatrax associated fishery, but you know, that side of it's nothing to do with Pallatrax. But just reach out for him. Really nice guy, Simon Cruddas, Cruddace. If any problems, just give me a PM and I'll set you up. The new rod's going to be 6 foot. Yes, they are. This is the new Pallatrax rods, which I've got a meeting next week, which is nice because it involves a curry as well. Yeah, they're 12 foot, Maya. So I'm looking at some stuff at the moment, some hard cases, which I'll let you know about in due course. But yeah, when broken down, they'll be 12 foot. Stephen, how you doing, mate? Steve Thompson. Reese, when you come and see me, pop out sometime, mate. Come and say hello. You're only just down the road. Hope all is well. So yeah, just again, don't forget the draw that's running for the strawberry package is happening. Right. So I don't know if I'm going to do a very good job of explaining this. In all honesty, because it's something that has played on my mind for donkey's years, and I can't help it. I look at stuff within the industry and I don't necessarily agree with it. And that's not to say I'm some kind of big head, know-it-all. I just think we need to be very careful when we're looking at things happening within angling that are based around assumptions. And having that match background, not very well, but we'll get out there. Yeah, you make sure you do and hope you get better. There's various things I've questioned, you know, whatever species, I've always approached angling, and Sorry, just a friend of mine just sent me, can you enter me in the competition? I'm on Facebook jail. You naughty boy, Wayne. We will do that. Can you add Wayne to the list? Because he's in Facebook jail. So it's something that's always played on my mind. Thank you. Like everything does, what's bait made of, how do you make a hook, what wire, all kind of things that question everything and assume nothing. And one of the things that has always and I've always said, and it's very much around the stones, because people tend to make a comparison with a stone and a lead like they're the same thing. The one thing they have in common, they cast and hold position. Outside of that, they're poles apart. And especially when it comes to density. So, not that I like touching them. Be interesting. We're waiting next month. There's going to be some severe legislation coming in from the European Union on lead toxicity and how it harms children. Vince, hope you're well, my friend. Best of M. Rob, okay, good to see you here, sir. Your competition prize is sorted, mate. So that's the lead. Okay, about 3 ounce lead. Now, if I was to hold a 3 ounce stone, okay, the lead would feel heavier. And the reason is because the lead is more dense and therefore it feels heavier. A stone is bigger, so the density is spread out, so it actually feels light, even though 3 ounces is 3 ounces. So we've got a situation. I put a thing on the team page the other day as well, and it really, really came home to me when I was out at Top Cats, and I'll go through that in a minute. But it's really a really interesting conversation, if you bear with me. Now, some people say, "Oh, you're being controversial" and things like that. Well, no, look, I'm just questioning a narrative. We whether it's politics or religion or whatever, we're given a narrative, and at the end of the day, we're all entitled to our own opinion. And if the narrative's checkable, why not have a look and see if we can improve, and especially in today's climate when we should be doing things for the environment, etc., etc. But why in modern fishing are we using weights different than we did as a kid? Why have we gone down this route? Whatever species, it doesn't have to be carp, it certainly is carp, have we gone down to this bolt rig effect? The bolt rig effect, I don't dispute, has its time and place, but also it's based on assumption. Mr. or Mrs. Fish will come along, suck up the bait, the hook will take purchase, the fish will feel, whatever people are saying, fish tends to bolt, and then basically the hook is rammed home by a great big weight. A ton of commentators, exactly. It has been very, very difficult over the years. I can remember a well-known brand putting out that a 3 ounce lead literally weighed heavier than a 3 ounce stone. And you just sit there and think, oh, this is why we struggle to get the truth of the stone out there. Hi, Trevor. How you doing? So, anyhow, so if I'm going all over the place, do stop me, do shout out. Because I confuse myself with it. But if you look at the match angle, and if you take, I meant to bring one in actually, one of the little split shot containers, you've got all these different shots, i.e. different weights. If you walk into a tackle shop, and obviously I'm anti-lead, as everybody knows, for all the right reasons, but there's plenty of non-toxic options out there. But whatever it is, you go into a shop, and they're all different weights, different sizes, different shapes. And so therefore you go back to the match angling scenario where you're actually using the weight in many situations, not as a bolt rig effect at all. Bloody kids. I've got 3 you can have as well if you want. Clifford, how you doing, mate? So sorry, I digress. It's not difficult. So if the match angler who is fishing to catch more fish, without a doubt, that's what the match angler is dedicated to do, catch more fish in a heavier weight and frame. Heidi, good day. When are you going to come and see us, Heidi? And get that husband of yours to give me a call. Hope all is well with you and yours. So basically, if the match angler is really refined in their approach and don't use and they're therefore seeking to catch more fish, why are they not fishing like the modern narrative within? We'll just use the carp industry for example, but it does percolate across other species. So what I'm trying to say is if they have refined over centuries, I suppose, to get to a point, why are they not fishing the same tactics that the mainstream narrative within carp fishing is telling us to do? And obviously that's why I tend to fish very differently, because I can't agree with some of the things that are put out there. Certainly, thought of dropping lead is just ridiculous to me on so many fronts. But also about quality of bait. Why would I want to fish on a bait that has no food value for a fish, or does have food value for a fish? So some of this stuff I think is actually pretty obvious. Once you kind of look over the wall of the modern narrative and say, well, they're saying this, and so I got up to that wall, and I could believe that and stop at that wall, or I could clamber my fat little body over there, look over it, and see what's on the other side. And if there's something better on the other side, I'm not going to stay on this side of the wall. So that probably makes no sense at all. Hi, Steve. So why are they not using the bolt rig effect? Why are they using different methods of bite detection? Why are they refining? Why are they using naturals more? Now, these are anglers who were basically dedicated to efforts to try and catch more fish. So why aren't we replicating? And I tend to replicate the match angler as best I can. But one thing that has always bugged me is always, and in all honesty, it's something for other people. And I know, people will be field testing this, especially down here. No worries, Anthony, we're still here, mate. Just to let you know, there is a competition running, a draw tonight, so it's send yes to Pallatrax Facebook Messenger page, and it's a strawberry bundle and some grips. Controversial or thought-provoking? Very good point, Ian, because I'm not here to be controversial for the sake of being bloody minded to cause issues and that lot. But whatever we do, sometimes need to step back from the modern narrative and say, is that really right, or is there another interpretation? Have we followed something so far down the cul-de-sac we feel almost incapable of coming back? And so when you go down, so we're talking to lead. So this is obviously, whatever this is, a distance lead. I honestly, I'm not saying it to be dismissive. I just don't know what that shape indicates. But it's very heavy, very dense, and we're only using it. Well, I'm not certainly using it, and loads of people less and less are now. But they're using it without realising what the shape and what the density will do within the substrate. Lots of different things. But my other concern as well is the fact that basically, if you're coming up against something, I call it the welly boot effect. So you've just said, right, I'm going to cast over there, and I'm just going to use a 2.5 ounce weight, whatever it might be. Obviously, there's fundamental differences within what the material is and how that weight would react underwater and within different substrates. But one thing I keep on seeing, and I've always had this, not always, but certainly for the last 15 years, I think, it churns over in the back of my mind all the time, is what happens if the majority of people aren't looking at their weights tactically, so using a weight purely for what it is meant to be. When you look at the definition of fishing weight, nowhere does it talk about it to be used as a bolt rig effect. So it's to cast, hold position, get to different levels, some very basic fundamentals of what a weight is in fishing. So we have this kind of thing now where people are just fishing weights without really knowing why. So let's just say you want to get to a spot and hold position, and that spot only requires an ounce weight. Why would you therefore using 2 ounces of weight, especially with different substrates? If it's heavier, therefore more dense, etc., etc., it's going to pull your rig into weed or silt or whatever. But the later you fish, as long as you can get to your place and hold weight, would that not be more sensitive and more reactive? Because you're now saying, well, I'm not going to use the bolt rig effect. Everybody's telling me to use the bolt rig effect. We're all doing the bolt rig effect. But what happens if we sit back and say, well, we're going to try and do it differently? And the really reason that this is kind of crystallised for me was going out to top cats. So also, before I go to that bit, you look at underwater underfishing, the guys over in Holland. You look at Galen, Pallatrax team member, who's doing all this underwater footage. None of it's edited. It's not a scripted film. It's just raw. The real, right up to the factory kind of face, if that makes sense. You're just looking at what has been shot. Okay, so it's not being super edited because something is going wrong, you don't see it, things like that. And so many times I'm seeing fish, especially carp, but I'm seeing it in catfish, I'm seeing it in barbel, tench, where they're coming up to a bait, they're sucking it in, the rig is extended, and therefore, as the bait and secondly the hook goes to go into the mouth, it stops, it's jerked, and it falls back, so it doesn't actually go in because the lead or the weight or whatever it's made of, non-toxic, whatever, is too heavy, and it's stopping any form of movement and any form of when a fish inhales when you're looking to catch it on a hair rig. So, and then you go back to the match angler who's fishing really, really light all the time. They're intricate. My mate uses 3 ounce, use 1.5. Yeah, well, this is, I suppose, this is the confusion. Ian saying, I absolutely agree. I try and go as light as possible, and if I need to be a low more method mix, exactly. But method mix is another tactic, and if we just concentrate on the weight at the moment, there's Anthony's. We did it on the team page. And there was no consistency to what weight people were using. They just had a go-to weight. Didn't matter if it was they were fishing a rod length out or to the side of the other side of an island or something. They would just still not really think, well, I only need it to get to where it needs to get to and to hold position. So what's Pom saying? I'm classed as a disruptor apparently. Just because I don't agree with the modern narrative doesn't mean I'm wrong, and it doesn't mean I shouldn't have the ability, as you shouldn't, to question what we're being told. Because it's certainly very, very much different than what we were being told 30 odd years ago, that's for certain. And I see lots of people, whether it's on my own lakes or other lakes or canals or rivers, or spending a lot of time not catching. And you have to think, well, especially my lakes, there's great big fish to mid-30s flopping around in there. You get a lake exclusive, so you've got these fish right in front of you. Why are we not catching them? And there's lots of variables to consider. But are we fundamentally doing some basic mistakes? Are we, all of us, and I include me in that, not focusing on the weight and the dynamic of what a weight does when it's underwater? And the fact is, if you're relying on bolt rig effect, you're relying on an awful lot of variables to come into play, almost like a perfect storm. So, fish has to find your bait. So that's the first thing. Fish has to like your bait or be curious and pick your bait up, inhale it. Bait has to, and hook has to go into the mouth. Then the hook has to take purchase in some sort of, all these things have to happen, and then the fish has got to bolt. And I've seen plenty of fish just sit there sucking and blowing, and then the bait comes off because they've just hooked themselves, and in my humble opinion they're aware because they've been caught before. I suppose it's like us as well. If you breathe in a fly, you go to spit it out straight away, instinct. Sean is saying, well, in certain situations the length of the hook length comes to play. I don't use the same length of hook length all the time. Each their own, Sean, and again, no disrespect, because who am I? Just like you, another angler, but I tend to have a go-to hook length. Like the match angler, they don't have lots of different hook lengths. They have lots of different baits, and they don't have heavy weights either. But like I say, each your own. But again, it just shows you the inconsistency of modern fishing. We're all doing different things. So how far there can we find out consistency? The only consistent element in modern fishing to me is the inconsistency of things. So think brainwashing into thinking you need heavyweights for hook holds. Yeah, well, exactly. And I think we have. I'm not saying that's not a tactic that doesn't have its time and place. But is it a niche tactic, and it's become so mainstream that's what people are doing, and by doing that. Now, the reason this is really, let me have a little slurp of tonight's rum and coke. That's nice. When I was in Top Cats, and this is something I've been playing around with, and we've been talking here at Ashton's Really Pools, and talking to various people over a number of years, but we've never really got round to doing it. I've always tended to fish light. I am still that match angler at heart, or that kid at heart, where we were hoofing out 3-4 ounce. I mean, I saw somebody cable tie 2 12-ounce leads together and boat them out, 24 ounces of lead, and it dropped off, so which is not exactly environmentally friendly. Anyway, so when I was out at Top Cats, they said to me, my weights were too, diet's going well. It's low calorie, low alcohol, apparently. That's what I'm telling myself. No, diet's not going. You won't believe what I've gone and done today. and it's not because I'm wealthy, because I'm not, but I have decided I've got to the age that I can't lose weight on my own. So I've got me and Tinny have got somebody coming out every Friday for an hour's training to try and lose some of this blubber. So there you go, Ian. So when I was out there in Top Cats, and you talk to these guys, they're very, very proficient. And I was very fortunate to work with Tadpole, who's one of the top guys there. And they were saying they don't, when they're fishing for the species, because there's 40 different species there, and they've got different males and different intakes, like a Mekong is totally different than an alligator gar, and, you know, yada yada. And they said, so the majority of situations that they're fishing are tiny, tiny weight. And on predator fishing, they're fishing much more. Loads of questions have just come through for some reason. It's probably my phone. Hang on a second. Dart's going well. That's the last one. I mostly coarse fish, and my weight, this is from Simon Wallace, used was dictated by the situation, river flow, distance. For carp fishing, I use, but never ask myself why. I will now. Cheers, Simon. Yeah, I'm no different to you, Simon. You know, two Simons alike. We should be questioning this. Well, why are we grabbing? You know, like you said, when you've coarse fished, it was always a weight, a physical weight, and even a shape. Like, you know, on the Trent when we were kids, we were fishing those little watch ones, or the coffin leads, or things like that. And now we're doing something massively different. Why aren't we catching enough fish? Yes, I think there's lots of variables, as I say. Conditions, you know, poor bait, poor position, bad rig, whatever, all these factors come in. But are we fishing too heavy? And I think we are. Next product, Pallatrax Snooker fans. Where's the thong actually, Rob? So there you go. Pop if you're happy, just do it. I think the grips act as a bolt, as they are so sharp and going horrible. Well, to be quite honest, Paul, and again, I don't want to sound contrived in that, but you do need a sharp hook, but also one that will stay and that has a durable hook point, and obviously the grip screws do what they do. But I've never fished a heavyweight, in truth, unless I've had to use a heavier weight to, say, hold on a slope or something like that. But now I tend to go, if I can, more washing line and things like that to change that dynamic, so I can still fish on a light weight. But in all honesty, the way I fish, which I call the spring effect, I'm fishing a small stone, and as soon as the tench, so if you can imagine, well, I can do it here actually. I have to use, hang on a second, no I can't, I'm going to have to unfortunately use a lead. So you'll see me using a lead. But if that's my stone, and I'm fishing a tight line to it from here, and then a fish comes along and picks up, and the density of the stone is so light, what happens, it does that, and because I'm fishing tight, the hook comes back as well. So you tend to get a beep and then fish on. I don't fish this, you know, to move that, I'm telling you, there's a welly boot effect. If that was to sit in silt as well and be set up as a bolt rig, that's going to be really, really heavy pull on that to get that to give you any form of bite detection, let alone hooking the fish. And we know that fish, for a fact, any match angler will tell you, that resistance fish will eject, and it's that simple. So and so it shouldn't come to any surprise to us. So when I was over there, if you've got any questions, do stop me, because it's quite a difficult one, and that's why I'm writing this book, because things I try to articulate, I'm not happy I ever do, and this is one of the ones as well. So over there, I didn't have any. I had the stones that they tend to have, which will tend about 3 ounces, which we're using for all their predator fishing, which worked far better. And they fish every day, and they're there every day, and you know, you're talking thousands upon thousands of captures a year. So they know a lot, they've seen a lot, they've been doing it, it's their job. And basically they are, in essence, outside of using a big stone, because that's what, as I say, they use for their predator fishing, in all other situations they're using this little coil feeder. Non-toxic, which is great. They wrap a bit of paste around there, or they don't. And that's what got me really interested. They were fishing for Mekong and only using that as a weight to cast to where they needed to go. That was it. It was not being used as a feeder, not being used anything other than to get the distance. Next weekend, if you're free, Mark, we'll give you a shout. Yeah, always free for you, Heidi. I should start charging, but
give us a shout. I look forward to that. Fishing really well as well. So yeah, Rich Shaw had 520s out last week. So yeah, all good stuff. Sorry, I digress. So, and obviously I tend to fish stones, but obviously a stone wasn't going to do what I needed to do, which was to cast and basically not sink rapidly 50p 5 times. And you know, but yeah, spring feeders, that's right, Anthony. So my thought process was, right, I need to go onto these to get to what I'm doing. And certainly fishing on the bottom, because this is what they're fishing on the deck. So just cast, you can bit of method mix around there, hoof it out, goes, you know, as far as you need to go on that fish reef without a shadow of a doubt. You can get to all the spots. And then you're fishing, that is your weight. So you're fishing tight, but not mega tight, because you can't, because that'll start moving towards you. And so if you can imagine again, let's see if I can do this. I hope this is all making sense, because it's like I say, I struggle with it. So the amount of resistance that will give to a fish inhaling, and you've got all these different fish like Mekong are massive, you know, there's all these different things going on, different mouth shapes. Arapaimo's got an up to a mouth like a rudd, you know, lots of different things going on. But ultimately, whatever, that weighs about ½ an ounce. That's all that does, and obviously with method. But when the method breaks down, that's all you've got on the deck. And they said, and it kind of fits in with, you know, they have to take the credit for this, not me. Yes, I've questioned it time and time again, but never really done or thought too much about it. I have to some degree in fishing on the drop and one thing and another. But so basically, fortunately for me, Simon had I said, you know, I'd rather use my stones for what I'm doing. You know, I believe in the stone. It's natural. It's not obviously still man-made like that is. And he said, oh, I've got some of your tiny little inlines you gave me. Hence, now if you see our inlines, the little inline stones, yes, so it's a stone with a hole in it. And if you take it apart, within there is a tulip bead and a length of tubing. So all I did out there, because really you wanted some form of tubing, especially when you've got, you know, fish with really kind of scaly things going on. Simon Brown, good evening. So I just got a tulip bead and then a piece of my tubing, and then you just feed that back through. And that's how I was fishing. And that's what I was doing. So I had basically a stone just over ½ an ounce, and that was doing, and that's all those big fish I was catching. That's what I was. As soon as, if I used a big stone, I wasn't getting the bites. Without a shadow of doubt, seriously, I was not getting the bites. And it really gets, because when you're somewhere like Top Cats, you know, you're isolated, you're thinking, or I certainly am, you just get thinking. And basically, yeah, so then I went to the next stage, and what I've noticed was the guys were when they were going for Mekong, which is they're great brutes of fish. They've got them to 440 pounds in there, monsters swimming around, and they're real filter feeders as well. They don't, you know, sorry, I'm just going back to Sean. Sean, we're not here, you know, like I say, it's always friendly and it's good debate. And like I say, each to their own. We've all had different experiences. And all I would say is, I think most things we do in fishing nowadays, there is always going to be an element of assumption and how do you get it right. All I'm saying is I'm guided by the match angler, because they are guided by results. If they were sitting there and fishing, and again, like I just said, you know, the fact that over there we were fishing all of the hooks, 40 different species, all of the rigs, without length. Now, would it have been better shorter or longer? But what you can do is confuse yourself. So we'll just go through what Sean's saying here, but say, you know, of course, we should all be. Well, we're still here, Andy. We're still here. I haven't missed this one. And for example, a 3-inch hook length and a 2-ounce weight would have the same resistance as a 4-ounce weight and an 8-inch weight. Depends on the lake bottom as well. But like I say, it's an opinion. It's impossible, I would say, with all the variables going on, to actually get it right every time, because there's just too much. I mean, different shaped mouths of fish for us. So, no worries, Paul. We're still here. Just caught an 18-pound carp. Top man. Top cats look amazing. Hope you had a fantastic. Yeah, Simon, it was absolutely out of this world. We're very lucky to have fisheries in Thailand we're involved with. But sure, all I would say is, after all the years I've been in the trade and fishing personally and things like that, don't get too blocked down into something that you can't control. I tend to fish when I'm fishing back here for the down slung mouth. My start is 4.5 inches, and to be fair, I never move off from that. I'm focusing on my baits, my position, my weight now, and things like that. So basically, you've got huge fish, and that will move, especially underwater. It slides through the sill, it doesn't plug in, and so when you've got a big old Siamese or whatever, as soon as I put bigger weights on, my pickups from different species as well, notice, really went downhill, went backwards. So that's the food of thought from Top Cats, that using a weight for what a weight should be used for, and the bolt rig effect doesn't come into play. And so there you're catching huge fish, and we're all over in Europe fishing the bolt rig effect. I mean, like I say, for my defence, I don't spend enough time thinking about, well, I only need really an ounce. It's probably laziness and things like that. So Sean, I'm not, don't take it the wrong way, I'm not liking you, we're all entitled, I'm just sitting here, I'm just being the vocal one, but each to their own, and if you're happy and you're enjoying your fishing, that's all it's about. What's Vince saying, all the way from Canada? The stones work, 100% carp over here, take the stones and run off with it. It's never happened with the lead. Natural is the best way. Yeah, I mean, Vince, he catches fish over in Canada in some, very rocky conditions, and I think you've proved beyond all doubt the efficiency, you, Dan, Galen and Brandon, things like that in Canada, how effective that system is. But so, going back to, I think I'm missing a couple of other ones here. Where is it? Simon, have you ever fished Sherborne Cotton? No, I haven't, Kev. I used to live near it. I do coarse fishing as well and fish well. I do find that I catch more fish and hit more bites because I can use lighter rigs. There we go. I caught it on a size 6 grips and a 2-ounce stone with self-made. Top man, Paul. Well done. Understand and debate. Yes, no, it is, Sean. We're not there. Team Pallatrax isn't, and I don't expect it on the main Facebook page either. We're not here to have argy-bargy and hate, and we should just be discussing, like human beings and articulating our thoughts, and then hopefully, every day's a school day. And I certainly learnt at Top Cats. I'm 57. I know I look a lot younger, but it really did kind of crystallise the fact that something I've questioned but never really started to look at in any depth, and that is changing. But then I went to the next stage. Okay, so we'll just go back to where whether I was using that or whether I was using that, they still had a weight and they still drew and sunk my baits when the Mekong and the Siamese were very, very much holding at the top fish, the top levels. So then I went back to probably what is, bar fly fishing for carp, my most enjoyable way of fishing, because it's the same principle. Lure fishing to some degree. I love spinning for pike and perch and things like that, but also I love fishing what we used to call back in the old days dapping, which is basically a free lining, much more sensitive. You're fishing with like tiny little whips, no longer than like 12-foot whip, straight through, 4-pound bottom, and a small hook with a caster or two, and you'd just be flicking it out into the Trent, and you'd be getting bleak and bits and pieces, gudgeon and things like that as it slowly dropped through, and then every now and again you get a proper tug and it would all go horribly wrong because there was a chub hanging on the end. So basically I went to the hooks, and the design, this is a 60-pound steam link. So all I was doing was here's a bit I cut off of this, Blue Peter. You shouldn't do this at home. But if you can hopefully see, I could just pull the coating off, and then I've just got the Dyneema. Dyneema is not braid, it's totally different material, completely. It's like saying chalk and cheese. It's very, very different. 58 next year older than Monks. Oh my, I know. Yes, Heidi's reminding me I'm 58. I'm trying to get stone and age to match, Heidi. I just been accept Jordan T, but I'm very much looking. Sorry if I missed that. Use a quiver step and one at stone to catch carp this week. Exactly, Keith. You know. We know you know. Somebody said to join the team. I've just started, Sean. I've just been accepted to join Team Pallatrax. I'm very much looking forward to using Pallatrax bait and rigs and maybe the socials. Good man, Sean. Any questions, always feel free to reach out to me or anybody else on the team. Colin's saying, very interesting debate. Been away from fishing for a while. I'm just getting back into it. When I got, I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you're on the mend. So trying to catch up, and I'm back at it in the new year. Good man. Venue's not fantastic in East Yorkshire, but keen to use the stones and grips hooks. I think the thing is now, it's just becoming accepted that it does work. You know, we're catching too many fish, and we're catching a ridiculous. Oh, Jason, 56 next weekend. We'll have a joint cake. What's Maya saying? Personally, use a small stone. Smallest I've got to tend to get more method on it. I would think it was more elusive, but was only for that reason till now. Yes, when you can next come down, you and Dad, we'll have a chat about this. So the next stage is, why are we using a weight at all? Do we have to use a weight when a weight is to cast and hold position? So I knew the Mekong and the Siamese tended to stay in the top levels. So you put out some boilies, and you'd see a cauldron of these like piranhas all coming up and going around. Still waiting to be expected in the team if I was lucky. I'm sure you will be, Andy. When did you send your application in? Because obviously been away in Thailand, so I am on a backlog. So if it's in the last couple of weeks, it will happen, I'm sure, if you filled everything in properly, and I'm sure you have. I think I will go to bed now, feeling like an old... To bed! It's only 7:45. So anyway, so rig-wise, very basic, nothing. The last live. What does that mean? The last live. You're never going to come back to another one. Stones work well, especially when you soak them, so they're sourced from the additives. Yeah, well, obviously being porous, and as long as there's a water-based flavour, they will actually soak in. Just while I'm just whack this round, because there's still quite a lot of people here. That is tonight's draw. All you've got to do is send yes to the Pallatrax Facebook Messenger page and be in with a shout of winning that little bundle of goodies. So do that if you so wish. Hang on a second. Which button? One day I might suss it. No, I won't suss it out. So now I wanted to get a bait to go out there. But if I'm going to use a weight of any description, it's going to really draw my bait down. When I want my bait to go that depth. So what did I do? So 3 fluoros. I was trying fluoros in white and orange, really high flavour ones that I've been spraying. You know, I use these boosters and spray it into a bag and give it a shake, sucks in, takes it out dry. You know, time and time again till it really reeks. And so simple hair rig. But now I needed to get it out into the middle of this area that I was fishing, and I couldn't just flick it out, especially when you're using 5-pound test curve rods. So yeah, and 0.53 diameter line, it's not going to exactly fly out. So all I ended up doing was a little PVA. I don't know, my PVA tube. Oh, it's over there. One can't be. But yeah, so basically that was my weight. And I just lightly hooked that, so I didn't like wrap it round because it just did enough. So I'm just, and basically as soon as that hit the water, the PVA dissolved, and then so that was gone. So that gave me the weight, and it introduced a bit of bait out there as well. But that gave me the weight I needed to cast to where I needed to cast it, which is what a weight is for. And then this I critically balanced. So I basically had a couple of small shot, well it's actually up here, a couple of small shot, non-toxic, you know, just pinched that on and tested it in the margin there and got that just so it was dripping. I mean, we're talking like this. And so when I was counting down, I knew it was 20 seconds before it hit the deck, and then I would basically bring it back in. Now in 35 to 39 degrees, I got a bit sweaty and hot, but God, was it exciting, because you're getting down there, gone 2, 3, and then wallop, and you're talking, you know, like fish that is dragging you around. And it goes again, it shows you, I wouldn't have caught that. People around me are fishing on the deck not catching, and I'm up on the surface in the upper layers catching. So all I'm saying, folks, is food for thought. You know, it's one of those areas that is very much ignored. A bit like when people say to me, my boilies are good, and I go, oh, fantastic, and what they're made of? And they go, well, boilie. That's like saying a pie is made of an ingredient called pie, you know. So when you start questioning some of these things, are we not using these from the right point of view, because they are far too heavy, they overcast, they stop bite detection? One for you folks, but I tell you what, I was absolutely sold after Top Cats. Absolutely, I'm absolutely sold. I'm quite excited now to go back to where I should have been, and going back to just using weights as they are, so they cast and hold bottom for me. And you know, don't even, not that I have, because I'm fishing running all the time, but it's still, there's a resistance there that could potentially stop me catching fish. And without a fact, I went from, you know, 3.5 ounce weights down to 3/4 ounce weights, stones, and just caught loads more fish. It was that, you know, it's not about me being some wonderful angler. I just love fishing for what it stands for. The fact is, I suppose the good thing is I'd mucked around a bit. Can you imagine my round pond of fluoro? No. That's even my new fluoro wouldn't tame that beast. Rusty, how you doing, sir? So yes, it's food for thought. Should we be fishing a weight that just gets and holds in position, or should we be fishing something that is actually more designed towards a niche tactic, and we're now just overlooking it from, it's what we've always done, so what we'll always do? I think we could have something here, folks, and so I would certainly start to think about the density of your weight, and think about what it's doing. Now we're doing some really interesting filming next year, and we're going to really be able to show more of what we're saying, because to be fair, we know a lot of what we're saying is correct. It just doesn't get out there into mainstream, but obviously we're talking to a lot more people now. Andrew's saying he just puts small stones all the time, but again, you know, going back to the density, think of the density and put a lead in one hand and a stone, wash hands afterwards. That's what they say in America. With all leads come with a health warning saying wash hands after use. That's Lee, how you doing? Hope Amber's well. So yeah, put a 1 ounce stone and a 1 ounce lead, and you will think that lead's heavier, purely because the density is so focused in on that. So what's Simon saying? Pellet waggling is my favourite. Yeah, fish through the airs and have carp in the mid doubles that way. Using a PVA nugget is really interesting. Yeah, I think again, Simon, it's something that I've been talking a lot to Matt and Jason down here and other people of late. Why aren't we fishing the layers? You know, okay, they've got zigs. We know zigs are problematic, but why aren't people fishing wagglers and things? I mean, you know, one of the things I'll be using more this winter than even though I was using in the summer. I don't know if you've ever seen these with the eye bites. And I'm not, you know, I source this stuff because I'm desperate to find stuff. And these eye bites we sell now are pretty brilliant. And again, going back to bite detection, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Let me switch my lights off here. Almost professional. So, you know, you have something like that at night and you set that up on a running weight system, lightweight system, high bite. There you go. Look, even better. It looks like Darth Vader, Daft Pom. So yes, so there you go. Things like this come into play. Why are we not float fishing for carp or tench like we used to? Your favourite, it is the way, you know. Maya caught very successfully last time she was down here on the iBite. And what's Sean saying? You see a lot of anglers using 4 ounce leads and casting 140 yards just because they can. I've been to lakes where anglers all around were doing it, and I was catching fish under my feet. Yeah, we obviously sing off the same hymn sheet, Sean. Yeah, I find it quite strange, especially when you're catching and they're not catching, or they're casting over your reel is a line holder. You don't have to empty it. So back in the cold, Lee. Thanks for asking. Daft Pom, thank you very much. It is a bit of an enigma when people just cast because they can cast a distance, but they're casting over the fish. Bite detection goes out the window the further you are, especially if you're fishing bulk rig effect, yada yada. But when people are actually catching and people around you are ignoring it, that's a bit of a mystery to me, because it's like when you're I don't know, fly fishing is probably the best one. When you're fly fishing, if the person next to you is catching on a particular pattern of fly and you haven't got it, you'll be robbing them to get that fly pattern. You won't be saying, "Oh, I've caught on this fly last year or last week or whatever." It doesn't work like that. Go with the working fly on the day, whatever it might be, whether it be a lure, whether it be, a particular spinner or whatever, or worms or maggots and things like that we're certainly not focusing. That'll be a big focus on my live feeds. We're going to have a wormery. Matt and Jason, if you're still there, don't forget, that's on the list of things to do. Ian, good to see you. Hope Sam is good. Have to check the shop. Yeah, no, these, sorry, just going back to these, we do lots of things, but they are so much fun. Float ledgering, and I'll tell you what, when you use these and float ledger, you will see how many times you're getting done, because this is gone before there's any noise on your alarm, and does really again make you kind of revisit the modern scene. Just because the modern scene's saying one thing, is it right? I don't believe for a minute it is. How can people go out and fish with a bait, for example, with no food value? That's not going to be as good as something that has food value. And just because it's round and smells of mangoes doesn't mean it's going to be good. Top Cats talk about the devil. There's Mr. Cruddas, I guess. Best to all your late night spur playing. I guess they lost again. So that's Simon, the owner of Top Cats, has popped in to say hello. Say hello to Tapole and Doy, and thanks ever so much for your hospitality, Simon. We'll be back, as Arnie said. Sean's saying I do float fish for carp on one rod. Yeah, no, exactly, mate. It's just these tactics were, right up there, late 70s, early 80s, and then when loads of money came into the industry and things changed and people were sponsored, so it wasn't necessarily from the heart, and in here things have changed. So float fishing is just, I persuaded Keith recently to get back into giving the quiver a go, and straight away he's out there and he's catching fish from the off. These tactics, we shouldn't just be sitting there with a boilie, and praying that all the variables are going to work. Because if you think about it, compared to the match angler, and people can say to me, "Oh, well, the match angler, they're fishing heavily stocked waters and stuff like that." Yeah, of course. But the fact of the matter is they're landing all these fish and they're not using the tactics that we are using in the majority of situations in the modern thing. So there we go. Food for thought, folks. That's all I'm saying. I'm certainly going to be doing some different thought. Let me down again. There you go. You want to support a proper team. Catch a few on a lure first with a friend, and they always want one. There we go. Exactly. Worms. Yes, wormery. We've got all this land here, Jason, so get ready. Put your wormery hands on. We're going to do those with an owl box, and you like Jason's. Yeah, Jason's a fan of the eye bite. No, Sean, again, it's always kind of my thing, isn't it? It's like, because I'm so cynical as well, especially having had two shops and one thing or another. They're brilliant, and they open up another dynamic for fishing, especially in these darker hours and days that we're now going to have to face over the next few months. But it does really, really take you back to your youth, in my case, many centuries ago, and it shows you that we shouldn't just be relying on an alarm and something on the bottom. Yes, Keith's got a trip where he's going and sitting up all night. So, I bites are great. That's from Slovakia. Matthew Rice, I left a pack of mussels in the freezer. That's from Northern John. Yeah, mussels, again, fantastic baits. We're not using enough of these things. Prawns, great stuff. Start fishing when I was about 6. I'm now 58. Well, you're older than me by when I fished 11th of November, 11/11/66. So we're old together, Sean. Is it possible to use a float without a stone and float differently? Of course, Vince. Yeah, by all means. You know, I would suggest with these floats, because of the way they are, you get some non-toxic olivettes. So I wouldn't have lots of shot going down my line. I'd have a non-toxic olivette and just move it up and down and get the balance. But yeah, for definite, these are floats, and you know they've got the waggler fitting there at the end, and so you can just use them as a standard float, or when we fish the stone system, running float ledger system. So best of both worlds. So I've just set my own wormery ready for the winter season. We might have to get some tips off you. We need to be fishing on them. It's I use a normal float. Yeah, there we go. Steve saying that. Had a lot of success on prawns. Yeah, I have perch. I caught I caught quite a lot on actually jellies over the years, but most of the ones that consistently the bigger fish come out on whole prawns, lassoed on. So yes. So very shortly, I'm just going to try and find out where the draw winner of that should be coming out soon. But if you've got any questions, ask away. I'm here for another few minutes, but I do have to shoot tonight because we've been away and I've got to go back to work. My son uses method balls in the sea harbour over in Japan, doesn't he? Vince, when I had my boats, we used to get onion sacks and fill it with all kinds of rubbish, mackerel heads and bits and pieces, put it down on the anchor chain, and so you had all these bits flowing downstream with the tide. If you put out a ball of food, whether it's sea, fresh water or whatever, it's going to do one thing if it's made of the right ingredients, because it's going to attract and potentially instigate feeding. So yeah, no reason at all. Again, I always wonder why, like, flounder anglers and place anglers aren't using method balls, especially on slack tide. Something I keep on meaning to do, because down at Bideford they've got some great flounder fishing, but why is nobody, you know, they're just throwing out a ragworm? Why don't you throw out a ragworm with methods full of ragworm? Something like that. Got a garden full of lobworms, using some Thursday. Yeah, they are an amazing bait. If you said to me I could only use one bait, it'd be a worm. Though maggots are good and they have the time, place and that lot, but everything seems to eat a worm. Everything. Anthony, cooked or raw? No, raw ones from, like, you know, just going to Tesco's or somewhere like that, and you'll find them in the freezer counter. And they're just awesome baits. And the thing is, they do catch everything as well. Caught many a carp on a prawn. Quite interesting in the float ledger system. Is it easy to set up? Rob, if you go on to Catch More Fish TV, which is my Pallatrax TV channel, you will see I did a film with Carpology on how easy it is to set up and how easy and efficient it is. But if you've got any problems, you can always give us a tinkle or ask on a team page. Looking forward to trying the grips hooks. What can I say about the grips hooks? They are a third design, you know, and the industry doesn't like it because basically they're focused on barbed and barbless. But obviously you've got those grip screws. Hopefully you can see them there. You've got another important factor which is very much overlooked is the manufacturing process. It's got cutting point, so which is the sharpest and most durable manufacturing process known. You know, well, Vince is here. I can always remember Vince saying to me, I'm just about to retire a hook. I've had 27 fish on it. And I think that's what we should be doing. We shouldn't have one hook that turns over and, you know, that's it. So Sean, like I say, I get them made by Marutu in Japan for me. You know, I design the hook patterns, and I've basically said to them, like I do whenever I source another product, I don't care how much it costs. And that's not being arrogant or flippant or anything like that, but I want the best, and then I'll work out how we can sell it. And that's exactly what I did with the grips. And we've got the best quality wire, the best finishing process, i.e. the cutting point, and the grooves just do what they do. So we've got many fans. You get the odd person, the odd naysayer, but that's more the fact that they're sponsored by somebody else who sells hooks or sells leads or whatever. But that's just business and that's just people, I guess. But I got no hidden agenda. Everything's totally transparent. Yeah, well, that's the thing, Anthony. You know, that's the cutting point technology. I don't know if you can see it on here. Let me try and show you if anybody's here who hasn't seen it before. Like, if you look at a grips, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I always struggle with this. I can't get it in focus, but I can't. Yeah, I just can't get it in focus. Show. But basically, the front of it. If you look at front on, it's not round; it's flat. And that's part of the cutting point process that makes it almost an arrow shape. And through that process and through using top quality wire, see, I have fished a £300 on this hook. It's about quality wire, it's about processing of manufacturing. So when somebody says to me, oh, my hook X is sharper out the packet than a grips, unless it's a cutting point, it can't be. And the only way you can get sharper is basically by hand sharpening, and that comes with loads of flaws, and I'm personally not into that. And some of these hooks that just literally turn over at the sight of a rock, let alone dinking them, or one rig per fish. I'm no fan of that. But there we go. Paul is saying they're sharp, but they come out your finger is other hooks. Yeah, well, I'll believe you there. I knew somebody actually stuck one in, a fishery owner in France, and he stuck one in his hand to see if it would come out, which I'll never get my head around that one. Never get around that. So the winner of the strawberry boosted and the grips, let me put those grips back over there, is none other than Josh. If I hold it that way, can you see? I should actually get any. Now I'll tell you what I'll do. So the winner of that little lot is Josh. So Josh Hyder, I believe that's how you would say it. So well done, Josh. You win that. So if you can please send a message to the Pallatrax messenger page where you entered with your address details, we'll get that little bundle off to you over the next day or so. So there we go. Anyway, the 8 o'clock bell, normally I will stay about because there's still loads of you here, but I do apologise tonight, and it's blaming Team Pallatrax members because I've got to go and make more LQ rigs you can show your hairy stick at. But living the dream, they say, living the dream. But lots more fishing coming up. Next week I'll be back on the normal team page, so I alternate them. Anybody interested in anything I've said, always feel free to give me a shout. What's Sean saying? I've had several brands and styles of hooks depend on the fishing situation. I just wonder, does some fishers have rules barbed only, or where does grip stand? Is there a Barbados? Is it a Barbados barbless? Not too sure. Is that something that I don't know what a Barbados barbless is, but basically it's a third design. So there is barbed and there is barbless, and that's all we've had as a design, and then we've had a plethora of patterns within those two designs. Now we've got a third design, which is grips, and if you look at like for example Top Cats, they've just gone grips only. Lowy Jungle Fishing Park, Fishing Island's just gone grips only. Fisheries like Lequy, the Carp Society, Advanced Angling, they're all fans of grips because at the end of the day it's a genuine hook. And it's different than barbed and barbless, and it has got benefits, and it's just won a very big award, international award recently, and it's won an award previous to that. So it is the real deal. So all I will ever say is just if you think it is required, just check with the fishery, make sure. But once they realise it's all based, everything Pallatrax does is based around fish safety, creating a sustainable environment for future angling and all this kind of thing. So but as I say, any questions, folks, you can reach out to me at any time. Phone us or PM me or whatever if anything of interest, or I need to explain anything more. Thanks for keeping me company for an hour. Appreciate that, and I'm off to look at rigs. Stay safe, catch more, etc., etc. And if you're not a member of Team Pallatrax, do have a look into it. It's on my website, pallatrax.co.uk. It's a massive initiative now. There's nearly 3,800 of us, I believe. We're going up every day. So good night to Top Cats. And this time last week I was there, Simon. And yeah, it's all a distant memory now. So got to count another 13 months away. But say hello to everybody over there. So good night all, and stay safe. And like I say, any questions, you know where I am. Cheers.